$2.2 million in additional debt. I think that, you know, if the board, as the board previously determined, when we took a look at how the community's finances have been arranged prior to last year's budget, we were tracking along a path that said leave the reserves and don't incur debt, and if you need something else, go to the public and have a referendum. Well, we did that, and the public said no to the referendum. So the plan was proposed by the village president and adopted by the board, and it's been the foundation that this board has followed is the one that Kathy identified. You know, we have to be realistic in the amount of money we collect, given responsibilities we have. And we have to do that within the limits that the state has set forward. The state says you can't go over 2% or whatever the growth of your community is. If the community is growing a lot, you can have that percentage increase in growth, but you can't have that plus the 2%. So that's what we've done. We have been not issuing new debt for 6 years, and this next year is the last year of a rather flat level of debt, and then in 2009, every year the debt dropped significantly, dropping $500,000 next year. The plan that was adopted by the board at that time is that money go not to make the taxes lower, but go to pay for road paving projects, equipment, fire trucks, snow plows, and there's a whole list in the 5-year capital improvement program to pay for those improvements as they come up. And there's a plan for what gets retired when and how we buy that without going to referendum. And that was a commitment that the board made at that time, was there would not be a tax referendum. The other commitment made by the board at that time is that any projects that were of village significance across the entire village, that couldn't be specially assessed or put on a payment project. The payment plan would be that would be the subject of a bond, and that would go over the entire village as debt on a subsequent levy. So the $2.2 million, the primary recipient of that is going to be 80th Street. 80th has been a problem for a while. We've acquired a lot of property to build that road. We still have a little bit more to go. We have that road designed and ready to go, but we've stopped twice because of budget constraints that we've been saving. As much as somebody might like to say, once you set aside $1.2 million or $1.4 million in a budget of $7 million, that's a difficult project, especially when you consider that 80th is only one street that has to be done. 80th is the confluence of two major village arterials, 80th Street and Cooper Road. It's also the confluence where there's numerous kids that are coming and going to Lance Junior High. It's the confluence of a number of people coming and going shopping at the retail center on 80th, going to Snap-on, people trying to weave their way from Pleasant Prairie back into Kenosha. Been the site of numerous accidents. This is a road of village significance, and it's probably significant to the city of Kenosha as well that it gets done. This will qualify under the policy that we set forth in our last budget to issue bonds for. The bridge on Lakeshore Drive. We've known for a while that project is needing some help. We don't want to wait for it to fail. And I'm not saying that road is going to suffer a major catastrophe, that bridge will suffer a catastrophic failure, but when you think about Carroll Beach, they have service delivery options that are different than most places in the village. They have a lot of holding tank trucks that are hauling sewage in and out of that neighborhood constantly, and that's stressing that bridge. We don't want to be in a position where we have to limit the weights on that bridge, driving up the cost for people who live in Carroll Beach for the collection of the holding tanks. Because a lot of the people that are holding tanks. It just makes sense to get that bridge done. That's a significant part of the project. The other one, which is the minor one, which is to light the north side of Prairie Springs Park to get the ball field lights out there. And we have a lot of people playing in youth programs. We keep a lot of kids busy, and if we can do that out of the neighborhoods, not do it in Carroll Beach, not do it all the time in Pleasant Prairie or Midwest Highlands, the kids get to play, and that's what that satisfies. So I guess 2 years ago there was no fact that there wasn't going to be debt, and that will go on the levy. There isn't any, and I don't think anybody is shying away from that at this point either. Now, one thing I will mention that as much as the state budget was troubling to anybody who watched the process going on, and I know it was troubling for the village president that that thing came about. He and Representative Cruiser were very successful in doing a couple of things for us that's going to help us locally. One is that the 85th Street, which is the project that's going to happen in the successive year, we got the state to fund 50% of that project. That's $1.2 million that we're not going to be issuing that for. And because that's the second road we're going to. The third road we're going to is 116th Street. The other thing that John was able to accomplish, and this is, I think it's going to bear fruit for the village in the long run, is changing the way that the village receives tax aid from the state as it relates to the parkland. Currently we receive $750,000. The new formula is going to change that to $1.4 million. The plan is that we'll receive that first one, not this year, it's not in this budget, but in the subsequent